Good morning, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is David Okon. I'm talking about money given to the people who need it in the United Kingdom. Something called universal credit and the sixth element. And we have been talking about this for some time now. This is part of the program, part of the video. If you are going to watch this video, watch it with the rest of the videos. And thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube channel. If you have already subscribed, and also for sharing and with family and friends, and you have been wonderful, you have been so helpful to this program. We are a work in progress, and we are so happy that we have been able to do great things with our world, with our lives on this special platform, YouTube system. And thank you so much for every YouTubers and also people who use YouTube on a daily basis, on a weekly, on a monthly, yearly basis. You are amazing. And also to remind people who actually understand or don't understand the digital age. We are in the digital age, increasingly coming towards the climax of digitization of our society, including YouTube, social media. The main media now are actually accessing the social media. So if you're a YouTuber, you're in a good place. It is challenging. If it wasn't, I would be surprised, because something so big, so huge, and we are so privileged to be participants. And if you are a YouTuber, doesn't matter how you are performing, whether you are performing at the peak or just a normal performance, be grateful to yourself. And be grateful to people who put this material, this estate together, YouTube estate. And I'm so happy. I've been looking at how people live their life broadly, and also how they understand income, including debt, including finance, including economy, policy, government policy, technology, and all sorts, including environment. So we have a lot to talk about going forward. And thank you so much for those who have subscribed. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel, and share with family and friends. Click notification bell, and also click like and share your views. We are here to exercise our freedom of speech, so talk to me. And I'm so grateful that you came. Let us get into talking about the specific, when you are actually wanting to use this money you claim, and there is a process. I'm explaining the process, including a process of applying using application system application form, and also something called descriptor, descriptors which you comply with the rules of benefit. That's what we call it in the United Kingdom if you're in the UK, and also if you are outside the UK, in Europe, America, or Asia or Africa. What happens in the UK happens in the rest of the world because of globalization. There is a standardizing of society in terms of development and also of culture, and our progress has ever really been so robust, and we have been so privileged as a generation. And YouTube and all this technology inclined estates evidence of how far we have come in our progress, and I'm so excited about it. There are wonderful feedback I get from the people who are committed to me and also to this program and to the concept, because I'm talking about money now, but going forward the sky is the limit as to what can be spoken or done And we talk about voicing, and also videoing, doing picturing. All these are actually really exciting. You will be lucky if you find something entertaining and educational at the same time, and that's what I'm trying to achieve so far. I'm so excited. So number 4, when you are watch this and the rest of the video for it to make sense, because it's the continuation of the same. Number 4 is picking up and moving things. That is, we talk about physical mobility. This question is about how easy it is for you to pick up and move different things. So this is actually the descriptors, and the descriptors also include questions, which questions you also is required to answer. So if you can pick, the descriptive questioning would look something like, can you pick up and move a half a liter, 1 pint of a carton full of liquid? So this is some of the questions you are now left with 3 options. The answer is no, yes, or it varies. And I already explained this kind of like concepts, or the fingerprinting of these what do you call the descriptors, composed of questions and requirement to provide answers. This provide the kind of information the Department of Work and Pension, the United Kingdom, is interested in. And if you don't know what the Department of Work and Pension is, it's a government department. It's part of the UK government. It's similar in the European region, and also in the continent of Europe and elsewhere, but also in Africa, because of the standardizing of society in terms of development, including politics and society. And let's carry on with this exercising. And if you can't do so, and you can't pick it up, maybe you have to pull it towards you instead. See, picking thing and pulling thing is actually an indication to demonstrate whether or not you are capable or otherwise. So if for example, if it causes you pain, for example, in your fingers, arms, back, or neck, these are actually the elements of these descriptions which outline the requirement to kind of find, gauge the finer detail of how you are doing, and you can't move it smoothly. You would end up dropping it. This is actually to kind of like provide information how physically fit. And but the descriptor is quite rigorous, and you can actually admire it in it also right. But see, if you're not interested in money, then you are really a good person. If you're interested in money, you are also a good person. And whether you're interested or not, somebody somewhere would be interested in one thing or another, in which case you would be the one to help yourself, to help other people, because your sentiment is out there, also crying out to how involved, how engaged you are in society. Society is about taking responsibility for your life and also for other people, and it's about now to stand more independent of the government. So this information is mostly online. If you visit gov.uk and other similar organizations, there are statutory body like the government agencies there to implement government policy, and also as a corollary, there are also non-statutory like the third sectoral organization, including non-profit organization or charitable or charities per se. There are small, medium, and big and large businesses. And these are actually public businesses, or could call them social businesses, which businesses are there to help complement statutory bodies centrally or locally, mainly locally. And these organizations some of them are corporate, they are very big, they are nationwide, they are like Citizen Advice in the United Kingdom, and these are very important aspects of government implementing bodies. which are non-statutory, and they are extremely exercising in expertise in different elements of social factors in terms of policy and programming. They provide this with their expertise and excellence. But one problem, befalls. One problem befalls them all within the public sector and the social sector being part of the public sector: the lack funding. Government is not funding them adequately due to political and ideological policy and other factors. And it is complex, and it is your duty, if you're a child, adult, or pensioner, to take responsibility for your life, to understand how policies and politics work, and what kind of technology is available now. The technology being available also taking over jobs from people, and these affect income and money. I'm talking about now is a type of income provided to those people who may work or may not be working. And if you work and you earn above a certain threshold of earning, you may or may not get benefit. But as we call it, is when somebody talk about benefit, especially universal credit, is strictly money, but also there are benefits like housing, especially social housing provided by the support through the support of the government. These are some of the facilities within benefit sector and healthcare, which is supported by the public funding through the public sector and also through the private sector. And increasingly now, these public sectoral services are being provided by public businesses, mainly big businesses. And there are problems I try to explain going along these materials, where more and more and less government is funding, more and more these places are being closed down, and they may not be directly asserting closures, but in practice, if you try to contact your hospital and you seem not to really get any access, and you can wait for hours on the phone, and only for an administrator to answer the phone to say there is no doctor's appointment, and day in day out you actually fail to ask to get appointment with the doctor. And that is now a sign, whether the government understands it or not. These are things which are happening now with the big corporations, which are private businesses. They are now closing down public services because I think because there is no funding. Because see, these organizations are private businesses. They are there to make profit, and if they don't make profit, they are right to close the organization down. But the politics wouldn't allow us to access truth, and our responsibility to actually think and use our head and also our due diligence to do research and become expert on policy and politics, be expert on probably everything. Because if the government doesn't provide it, then you should provide it, unless you are a multimillionaire, and a multimillionaire able to either employ technology or human technocrats or professionals or on demand, whichever it is. Money speaks. We live in an age where money really speaks, and this is an example. This is part of the process of accessing money given to the government, by the government, to people who need it, who are sick. And if you look at if you actually watch the rest of the video and watch this one also, you will appreciate how complex this is what's happening in the UK. This material is extremely complex, and I've been trying my best to portray them in the simplest possible way. And a lot of people within the service sector, in the advisory sector, supporting people who need help, are trying their best to explain what is extremely complex in the simplest of ways. But they run out of steam. They have a life to live. They are, they depend on the government for funding. They need to be paid, and some of them are actually volunteers, and they volunteer, but in one way or the other they have to find work, and work is also getting harder and harder to get because of technology, also because of shutting down of services like advice service. Artificial intelligence is now being introduced within the public sector, within the social sector, which will take over advising people, because artificial intelligence is what it sounds like, because it is artificial and it is intelligent. Machine intelligence is now replacing human intelligence, as simple as that. And this is the reality. That means people will be losing their work more than actually gaining jobs. Unemployment, being out of work is going to be the norm, and that is a good thing, and it is not a good thing as well if you are a victim of that, and where you are left without government help in terms of benefit. You are left without government help, where you cannot access employment of one sort or another, because the economy has been privatized, and private companies only operate if they make profit. The moment they stop making profit, they actually shut down. If there is any element of cost which is not necessary, such as employment, if employment can be replaced by machine, they will close that aspect of cost down. That means they will let people go and lay them off. They become redundant. That means you are unemployed. You are being fired in a nice way, in a legal way, in a formal way. It's called redundancy, which is another a story for another day, is to do with employment. But what is important, the relevance here, is that they also determine income of any of the citizen of the United Kingdom and of citizens of the world. It is actually the same, one country or another. We are not even talking about crime. We are not talking about the street. We are not talking about domestic violence. We are not even talking about all these elements yet. We are only talking about money. So bear with me. Thank you so much for your participation in this exercise, and let us do our best to deal with this bit. And if you can't do one thing or another, can you pick up and move a liter with 2 pints of carton full of liquid? No, yes, and it varies. Again, don't feel embarrassed about ticking no. I'll try picking up a 2-pint carton of milk if you are not sure. And can you pick up and move a large light object like an empty card box? Now, if you are not sure you are able to do something, because this is about capability, and then capability assessment will follow after applying for this. So if you demonstrate, you test it yourself if you're applying. I mean, this is in the mind of the Department of Work and Pensions, in the mind of the UK government. If you're terribly sick, you are actually supposed to be playing all these activities and trying to claim about £400 per month, and the level of benefit is extremely low, and I've already mentioned it in the other videos. And thank you so much for your help in your giving feedback. And obviously, when you are can you pick up and move a light object like an empty card box? If the answer is no, yes, and it varies, it's fine if you can't do this. But it's important to take no. The Department of Work and Pension wants to know how easy it is for you to move anything that's large and light. That if you are not sure how easy it would be to move a cardboard box, try thinking about shifting a pillow from one side of the bed to the other. What to explain about picking up and moving things. We are talking about physical dexterity in one sense or another, and you should click a particular box which would be indicatable in the form, and this is to provide an overview as such, and so that is to help you deal with some of these anomalies, in what I call anomalies, because people don't plan their life in terms of being sick or having to draw state benefit. People want to get on with their life, and that is what the point I've reiterated throughout. So what to explain about picking up and moving things, and you should explain in the box, how you usually pick up and move things, what happens if you pick up and move things more than once, and not just as a one-off, and if you have problems moving things smoothly, and how this affects whether you pick things up, whether you drop things. You could give an example and say what happened after you drop something. For example, you had to go to accident and emergency. You should also describe how picking up and moving things make you fail. For example, whether picking up or moving things causes you pain or discomfort, for example, in your fingers or arms, back or neck, how long the pain lasts, and how severe it is if picking up and moving things causes you pain, whether picking up and moving things causing you to be short of breath, feel dizzy or tired, if it is different on good days and bad days. Explain what it is like on a good day and on a bad day, and how often you have a bad day, how the Department of Work and Pension give points for questions such as question 4, and like we have indicated in the previous videos, and also doing so in this, and the Department of Work and Pension will check which of these descriptors matches your answer, and if you meet descriptor 4A, you will get limited capability for work-related activity. If you meet one of the other descriptors, the Department of Work and Pension will add up your points from the whole form to decide if you can get limited capability for work. Descriptors 4A, if you cannot pick up and move a 0.5 liter or full of liquid, you get 15 points. And number B, if you cannot pick up and move 1 liter carton full of liquid, you get 9. And number C, if you cannot transfer a light but bulky object such as an empty cardboard box, and you get 6 points. If it is none of the above, and you get 0 point. Thank you so much. Next time we will meet. Continue watching. We are going on to looking at manual dexterity. Thank you so much. So continue watching. Thank you so much. We're looking at point number 5, manual dexterity. This question is about whether you find it difficult to use your arms and wrists because of a physical condition like Parkinson's disease or multiple sclerosis (MS). Can you use either hand to press a button such as a telephone keypad, turn the pages of a book, pick up a £1 coin, use a pen or a pencil, use a suitable board or mouse? Some of these things, none of these things. It varies. Some of the questions and the answers. The Department of Work and Pension want to know if you can do any of these tasks well enough with one of your hands. By well enough, they mean whether you can make a mark, for example, a tick or a cross with a pen or a pencil, whether you can use a keyboard, including an adapted keyboard with one hand. If you don't need to be able and whether you don't need to be able to type fast and turn the pages of the book smoothly. Also, if you are not sure about the task mentioned in the question, think about whether you have problems doing other tasks like preparing vegetables, turning on the taps, or getting your money out of a wallet or purse. We talk about physical manual dexterity. Don't be embarrassed to say you can't do any of the tasks. For example, if you have tremors, if spasms, pain, stiffness, problems with gripping, difficulties, pinching. So as we continue to look, I want to explain about your hands. This is manual dexterity. We are continuing to examine the different elements as required. It's a process of claiming these benefits, and this is what sick people have to go through. Leave a comment below if you think this is necessary. I think it is not. I think it is too complicated for somebody who is sick and having to claim benefit, which is of necessity, being done in this country. Britain, remember, is the richest country in the world, and to my mind, the country like Britain should make it easy for people to access help wherever those help may be. And I've also said elsewhere that the level of benefit should be more than £400 even for sickness benefit. And to my mind, I believe if the government was paying enough of benefit in the standard allowance anyway, the people don't have to go through this because they are sick to claim benefit because of sickness. Sickness doesn't relate to benefit at all, in my opinion. Benefit is relate to dignity in the same way as employment relate to dignity, is provide for necessity. Let us continue with this process. So if it is also important to tell the Department of Work and Pension more by explaining your situation in the box. You should explain if, for example, somebody else has to fill in form for you because you can't grip a pen. It takes you a long time to get dressed because it's hard for you to fasten zips, buttons, and shoelaces using your hands, for example, to open a jar lid or your front door with a key causes you pain. For example, if you drop things because you can't grip or pinch them. You can't give drive because of your condition. For example, if you can't grip the steering wheel or use a gear stick. These are some of the situations contained in the possibilities of your condition. Actually, kind of like anticipating a possible condition or somebody like you who might be or might not be actually in need. You might be trying to help somebody else or trying to help yourself. So how the Department of Work and Pension points point the questions 5 and how they give points for question 5. The Department of Work and Pension will check which of these descriptors matches your answers. If you meet descriptors 5A, you will get a limited capability for work. Limited for work related activity. If you meet one of the other descriptors, the Department of Work and Pension will have your point from the whole form to decide if you can get limited ability for work. Descriptors 5A, if you cannot press a button such as a telephone keypad with either hand or cannot turn pages of a book with either hand, you get 15 points. And number B, you cannot pick up a £1 coin or equivalent with either hand, you get 15 points. Number C, you cannot use a pen or pencil to make a meaningful mark with either hand, you get 9 points. And number D, you cannot single-handedly use a suitable keyboard or mouse, you get 9 points. Number E, none of the above applying, you get 0 points. I'm just providing a painting to give you an idea what happens if you're a sick person in the United Kingdom and you are being required to fill out a form. And my purpose is actually to give you an idea, even if you understand what I'm talking about or not, but you need to pay attention to a possibility where the process of applying for this help are extremely complex, perhaps in my opinion too complex to be of any help to most people. And in practice, as I speak, probably more than 70% of people who claim benefit actually don't get it because of the complexity of the system, which begs the question as to whether the government is actually really intending to help, or perhaps there are some really complicated advisors who advise the government the wrong way, so that to provide a kind of help in the most complicated possible way, with the result that people really don't get it, because there is something called mandatory reconsideration. If the Department of Work and Pension give a decision on your benefit and you don't get it and you're not happy, you have the right, the statutory right, to actually challenge the decision. And this is a very complex process also. We have spoken about it elsewhere. In practice, it is even more complicated because it involves very complicated process of challenging a decision with the Department of Work and Pension. And naturally, they will always reject it, and that also create more problem for claimants. They have to go to the tribunal or to the court to challenge the decision of the Department of Work and Pension, called the process of appealing the decision. And there, with evidence, is that more perhaps of I think over 70% of people who are denied benefit at the Department of Work and Pension, they go to court or to the tribunal, they win their cases. That is a very poor indictment on the government policy, or perhaps also attitude, where there appears to be really lack of care for people who need help in this country, where people have to go to court to get £400 per month in a country with excessive wealth, and also wealth being concentrated into the hand of the few. This wealth is taken by the system of the economy, and other factors. This wealth being transferred from the hands of the few to the hand of the many by a mechanism of economic and other factors in society. And this is actually a problem of producing social injustice, which is actually a fundamental source of violence, which contributes significantly to one lack of peace on the streets, at home, or at school, in hospital. The problem is across the board. Benefit is a feature of such a problem within the social sector, within the public sector, and I've mentioned this throughout. And watch this video and the rest of the video. Thank you so much. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed to this channel. In the comment below, let me know what you're thinking, and I appreciate your support. I appreciate your commitment. I'll share with family and friends. And if you're new, subscribe. If you are already subscribed, if you are a super woman or a superman, and you are warmly welcome to this platform, and let us do this together. Let us claim our country back in the United Kingdom. Let us claim our country back across the globe. That is the political mantra every child of Britain, every child of the earth should really pronounce as clearly as it is actually valid. And so let us carry on, because we have to look after our lives. This is our world. Britain is our country. If you live outside country, it is your country. Whichever country you live in, whether you are a citizen or a resident, as long as you are living there legal, you have the right to have a voice. And it is your world, it's your country, as much as it is the country of someone who is actually born in Britain, or out in a country where you live, whether in Africa or elsewhere. And this is a process. My invitation is for every child, every adult, every elderly to take responsibility for your life. If you don't, you are going to actually suffer. You are going to suffer because of your negligence, and you would have no excuse to complain about anything, because you refuse to take responsibility for yourself. There is information online, and go there, take just maybe 30 minutes a day or even 10 minutes a day online, read about some type of policy. If you care about employment, if you care about low pay, if you care about low payment of wages, or low payment of benefit if you care about taxation. Things like VAT, value added tax, and council tax, and taxes on other elements of life, like how difficult it is. Taxes. I mean, if you look at renting is a form of taxation. If you are actually allowed to rent a home which is which is your home is a place of necessity for you to actually live in it, and if you are still required by the state in a country like Britain, which is very wealthy, to pay rent, that is a form of taxation. If you are supposed to pay for food, it's a form of taxation, because food and water is a basic necessity. So people need to use their brain. You don't need the government to tell you what you need to know, because the information is there. You are an expert on poverty. You are an expert on wealth. And if you're a rich person, if you're a poor person, if you're a sick person, you are actually an expert on sickness. If you are unemployed, if you are an expert on unemployment, if you're on benefit, you are an expert on being on benefit. And if you have to go to school, then that is and the field of your expertise, or potentially a field of your expertise. You need to tell the government what to do. The government should not tell you what to do in terms of what you need for livelihood, how much you need to be paid. This is your country. This is democracy, and you should be telling the government how much they should pay you, and in benefit, in employment, in minimum wage, in living wage, and nationally, whatever. And when it comes to housing, you should be paying rent. You should be paying council tax. If you're on minimum wage, you're on a national living wage, because the level of pay is low. It is, if not intentionally, then recklessly designed to leave you in poverty. And the government must change. The British people must get out of poverty. The people of the world must get out of poverty today, not tomorrow. And if you're a politician, if you call yourself a leader, remember to get the British people out of poverty in number one. Number two, you get the British people out of poverty either by raising the level of minimum wage or benefit. Pay benefit, pay employment. There are people who work who might be on minimum wage at the current level. These people should be entitled to full benefit even if they work. If they don't work, they should get more benefit than they're getting now. If in my opinion, I am not an expert, but I'm an expert on what I need to get to afford what I need. It is not an offense for a British person to ask to be paid £20 per hour, or actually something resembling £20,000 after tax in a year, and that we should go for benefit. Benefit should be correlated to employment, because they are primary sources of income. Forget the rhetoric, forget the fail, and also the irrelevant form of political ideology, and which actually is impacting on government policy adversely. And I've been saying this over and over. Let us look at another element in the process of claiming sickness benefit, and which I have spoken about in the other video. And if you care to look for the other videos, you will find I've spoken there. I've been repeating some of the point over and again. Thank you so much for your support, and for watching, for sharing, and for caring, and for leaving a comment, and especially positive comment, but also constructive comment with respect. And disrespect is bad for social media, and or for your health with or without social media. And let us look at communications. If you're speaking, you're writing, you're typing, this question is about whether you find it hard to make people understand you, and it's about physical difficulties, for example, having a stammer, or being profoundly deaf. You might also have difficulties because of a physical injury or condition like brain injury, stroke, or Parkinson's. If you have difficulties because of the mental health issues such as anxiety, you can explain that in a later question. Can you in this question communicate a simple message to other people, such as the presence of something dangerous? the answer. If no, yes, or varies, you give that to the Department of Work and Pension for them to consider and give you points accordingly. For this question, don't just think about telling somebody about something dangerous. For example, you could you order what you like in a cafe. Yeah, this could be either by saying what you would like, or writing it down. In terms of effective communication, don't feel embarrassed if you have to click no. For example, if you can't convey a simple message, because you would need help from someone else, such as a sign language interpreter. You have difficulty speaking, you have limited speech, you can't speak, or your condition means that you have difficulties writing and typing as well as speaking. You can't speak loudly enough or for long enough to get someone's attention. Speaking, writing, or typing causes you pain or leaves you out of breath. Thank you so much for your participation, and let us continue with the process. So in this element, continue want to explain about speaking, writing, and typing. It's important to tell the Department of Work and Pension more by explaining your situation in the box. Give as much information as you can about your difficulties communicating with people. For example, explaining if people don't understand you. Give example if you can, and how it makes you feel when someone can't understand you. If you avoid communicating because it is hard, it takes too long, it frustrates you, whether someone helps you to communicate and how they help you, how often you have difficulty, whether you would have how often you have difficulties, whether you have good days and bad days, and what the differences are, and also considering how the Department of Work and Pension give points to question number 6. These are specifics which actually help you appreciate what goes on at the Department of Work and Pension. The Department of Work and Pension will check which of these descriptors matches your answer. If you meet descriptor 6A, you'll get limited capability for work-related activity. If you meet one of the descriptors, the Department of Work and Pension will add up your points from the whole form to decide if you can get limited capability for work. We're looking at descriptor 6A. If you cannot convey a simple message such as the presence of a hazard, or number B, if you have a significant difficulty conveying a simple message to strangers, to get 15 points. C, if you have some difficulty conveying a simple message to strangers, you get 6. Because if you have significant difficulty, you get 15 points. If you have some difficulty, you get 6 points. Basically, that's the essence. And none of the above, you get 0. Let us look at point number 17. Thank you so much for your help. So let us continue and look at question number 17. Within the element, we will talk about communicating, hearing, and reading. And this question is about whether you have difficulties understanding what people say to you, and if you have problems reading. We talk about hearing and reading, what goes into your to your ears and what comes out of your mouth, or something like that. So the question would look something like, can you understand simple messages from other people by hearing or lip reading without the help of another person? If the answer is no, yes, or whether it varies, then you tell the Department of Work and Pension accordingly. Don't feel embarrassed if you have to take no. For example, if you are deaf or have hearing loss, and you don't lip read and something like that. And also, if you can manage to lip read people you know, but not strangers. You need a sign language interpreter. You sometimes misunderstand things you are told. If you use an aid, such as a hearing aid, you should also answer the questions as if you are using it. Can you, for example, understand simple messages from other people by reading large size print or using braille? If the answers are no, yes, or it varies, you tell the Department of Works and Pension accordingly. And again, don't feel embarrassed if you have to take no. For example, if you are visibly impaired and you don't use braille. And thank you so much. Let us carry on. So still talking about explaining about hearing and reading, it's important to tell the Department of Work and Pension more by explaining your situation in the box. If you use any aid to help you understand other people or to help you read, then give you details in the box, examples of aid. You could use things like braille, large prints, audio format, special lights, to have you read a hearing aid or an electro-larynx, a text message, a telephone or amplification equipment to help you hear, as well as writing about aids that help you. It's important to explain things like if it is if it takes you a long time to read something or to understand something, if you use a sign interpreter, and what would happen if you didn't have one, if someone reads things for you or explain what others have said, along being able to read something or hear someone cause you problems, how you feel when you can't understand what is said or written. The Department of Work and Pension give points for question 7 matters, because it determines whether or not you actually get help. Let's continue watching. So, yeah, in terms of elements, question 7, the Department of Pension will check which of these descriptors matches your answer. If you meet descriptor 7A, you will get limited capability for work-related activity. If you meet one of the other descriptors, the Department of Work and Pension will add up all your points from the whole form to decide if you can get limited capability for work. Descriptors and points accordingly. 7A, you cannot understand a simple message such as the location of a fire escape due to sensory impairment, you get 15 points there. And number B, has significant difficulties understanding a simple message from a stranger due to a sensory impairment, you get 15 points as well. Number C, has some difficulties understanding a simple message from a stranger due to sensory impairment, you get 6 points. D, none of the above applies, and you get 0 point there. Thank you so much. Continue watching. Let us carry on to number 8, getting around safely. That is how to move around, getting around safely. This question is about physical health conditions, and you don't need to write about your mental health here. If you have a mental health condition that makes it hard for you to get around safely on your own, for example, anxiety or agoraphobia, write about it in question 5. And this is how they do their processing. If you have a physical condition that affects your ability to get around safely, you should include it. For example, low vision, migraines, if they affect your vision or give you dizziness or vertigo, hearing loss, if it makes it more difficult for you to get around safely. Conditions like narcolepsy, or a disorder that makes people fall asleep at inappropriate times, Menira disease, if it makes you dizzy or gives you vertigo, and if you normally use glasses or contact lenses or a guide dog, a hearing aid, or any other aid, answer the questions based on how you get around when you are using them. Can you, in terms of questioning, can you see to cross the road on your own? No, yes, it varies. These are some of the optional answers you give to the Department of Work and Pensions to allow them to assess your medical condition. Think about trying to cross a road you have never crossed before. For example, on the way to an appointment somewhere new, don't feel embarrassed if you have to take no. For example, if you need help from another person, you could take. It varies. If it depends on whether if it depends on whether, and if it is daytime or it is after dark. Can you such a question? Can you get around a place that you haven't been to before without help? If the answer is no, yes, or whether it varies, you tell the Department of Work and Pension accordingly. Again, don't feel embarrassed if you have to take no because you need help from another person. For example, if you couldn't get around a new place without help after dark, or perhaps if you have blurred or double vision, or actually where your hearing difficulties mean you wouldn't be able to ask for help. And the kind of things you would want to explain to the Department of Work and Pension, and you could, for example, explain your hearing difficulties, what it means. You wouldn't where it means you wouldn't be able to ask for help. Your hearing difficulties mean you wouldn't be able to help because you can't hear. You probably won't be able to ask for questions, and you can be limited in one way or the other, depending on your skills or your capacity to read lips. And if you cannot hear, and perhaps even sometimes the equipment might or might not help you one way or the other. And my purpose is actually to show that these questions and answers need to be answered and how it works. And thank you so much for your help and what you explain about getting around safely. It is important to tell the Department of Work and Pension more by explaining your situation in the box, both for crossing the road and getting around new places. It is important to explain things like what would stop you from crossing the road on your own, whether you're fallen in the past, if you would have good or bad days. For example, if you have migraines, and what it's like for you to on different days, and whether you can use public transport to get around. For example, you can't see the number on the bus, so don't know if it's the right route. And if you can get around a supermarket to find what you are looking for, and if you can focus on things when you need 2, for example, road signs. So consider how the Department of Work and Pension give points for question 8. And the Department of Work and Pension would so do, they will check and to see which of these descriptors matches your answer. And so you can't get limited credibility for work related activity from matching any of these descriptors. So this is the situation. The Department of Work and Pension will have your points from the whole form to decide if you can get limited credibility for work. Limited credibility for work related activity question 8 is a caveat, and you will. So as a caveat, limited capability for work, looking at the question 8, looking at question 8 with a caveat to limited capability for work related activity, whether it's given or not, there are no limited capability for work related activity descriptors for this question. So there being no limited capability for work related descriptors for this question. So you could still get a limited capability for work if this question shows that doing work-related activity would be a risk to your health or to someone else's health. And these are exceptions to the rule in relation to question number 8 in terms of the applicability of what you need to do to get processed for benefit. So let's look at descriptors, and if you can check what counts as the risk to health. And looking at the descriptors and their point, number 8A, unable to navigate around familiar surroundings without being accompanied by another person due to sensory impairment. 15 points. B, cannot safely complete potentially hazardous tasks such as crossing the road without being accompanied by another person due to sensory impairment. 15. Number C, unable to navigate around unfamiliar surroundings without being accompanied by another person due to sensory impairment. You get 9 points, or you don't get it in practice. None of the above applies against 0. The sense of this process is whether depending on whether you pose a risk when you are required to do a work-related activity. If you pose a risk to yourself or to other people, this is a matter of assessment, and we'll talk about that going forward. Let's look at number 9, controlling your bowels and bladder and using a connective device. As such, this question is about whether you have a problem with your bladder or bowels, and while you are awake, not while you are asleep. This question is especially relevant for people with conditions like IBS and Crohn's disease. You might also have problems as a result of your medication or of a different condition or disability. For example, if you can't control your bladder when having an epileptic seizure, do you, as of questioning, do you have to wash or change your clothes because of difficulties controlling your bladder, bowels, or collecting device? No, yes, weekly, yes, monthly, yes, less than monthly, yes, but only if I cannot reach a toilet quickly. Try to be honest, even if you find it embarrassing. It's important for the Department of Work and Pension to know what happens so they can make the right decision. If you have to clean yourself and change your clothes due to incontinence, say how often this happens, if it hasn't happened, but you are worried that it could, or it hasn't happened because you stay near a toilet, you should take the last box if you can manage your condition with incontinence pads. For example, if you should take if there is a reason why you don't use them, or if you sometimes still have to change your clothes, click yes and explain in the box. And thank you so much for watching. Let us continue watching. Always remember to explain about your bowels and bladder to the Department of Work and Pension. It is important to tell the Department of Work and Pension more by explaining your situation in the box. You should explain things like what happens if you can't reach the toilet quickly, how often you need to wash or change your clothes because of difficulties controlling your bladder or bowels, whether you carry spare clothes around in case of emergency, and if you take medication to control your bladder or bowels, and whether it works, the problems you would have if you are actually, and the problems you would have if you want to go out. For example, if you need to stay close to a toilet to avoid accidents. Often you have flare-ups. For example, if your Crohn's disease is usually well controlled with medication, but you get severe diarrhea once every 6 months. And let us continue watching. Let us consider how the Department of Work and Pension give points for question 9. You will get limited capability for work-related activity if this statement matches your answer. At least once a week experiences. Number A, loss of control leading to extensive evacuation of the bowel and or avoiding the bladder, or B, substantial leakage of the contents of a collective device sufficient to require the individual to clean themselves and change clothing. If you meet one of the other descriptors, the Department of Work and Pension will add up your points from the whole form to decide if you can get limited capability for work. Look at the descriptors 9A, at least once a month experiences. Number 1, loss of control leading to extensive evacuation of the bowel, and avoiding of the bladder, or 2, substantial leakage of the contents of a collective device sufficient to require cleaning and a change in clothing. You get 15 points. And number B, the majority of the time is at risk of loss of control leading to extensive evacuation of the bowel, and avoiding of the bladder sufficient to require cleaning and a change in clothing if not able to reach a toilet quickly. Number C, neither of the above applies. If the number B applies, then you get 6 points. Number C, if it doesn't apply, you get 0. And let us continue watching. Thank you, sure. So let us continue and look at number 10, staying conscious when awake. This question is about whether your condition or your disability affect your consciousness. For example, your consciousness might be affected by epilepsy, diabetes, narcolepsy, a condition that makes you fall asleep at inappropriate times, severe night migraine, where while you are awake, often you faint or have fits or blackouts daily, weekly, monthly, less than monthly. The Department of Work and Pension want to know how often you have fits, seizure, or blackout, or anything else that severely disrupt your awareness and contravention when you are awake. They are not interested in what happens when you are asleep, whether at night or during the day. You might not always be completely lose consciousness when you have fits or seizures. It's still important to include them to say how they affect you. And so consider continue watching. Continue watching. Therefore, you need to consider what to explain about staying conscious. It's important to tell the Department of Work and Pension more by explaining your situation in the box. You should explain if you have any warning that you are about to have a fit or seizure. If you have been taken to a hospital, say how many times this has happened, how long it takes you to recover, if you are afraid to go out in case you have a fit or seizure, and if you have injured yourself or had an accident during a fit or seizure, for example, if you if you have hit your head, if your medication gives you a side effect, say what they are and what you do about them. If you have lost your driving license or you have never had one because of your condition or disability, write down if after losing consciousness you need to take time to recover, such as going to bed. Don't know if you don't know how you will feel. You may become aggressive or unpredictable or unaware of what's going on around you, or need someone to care for you, and carry on watching. Thank you so much. So let us now look at how the Department of Work and Pension give point for question 10. The Department of Work and Pension will check which of these descriptions matches your answer which you have given to them. For example, if you cannot get limited capability for work related activity from matching any of these descriptors, the Department of Work and Pension will add up your points from the whole form to decide if you can get limited capability for work. In exceptional circumstances, you can get limited capability for work related activity from question 10. So, as exception to the general rule, limited capability, you can get limited capability for work related activity from question number 10 if there are no limited capability for work. There being no limited capability for work related activity descriptors for this question, you can still get limited capability for work related activity if this question shows that doing work related activity would be a risk to your health or someone else's. You can check what counts as a risk to your health or to the health of someone else. And as it is, we're looking at the descriptor anyway. Number 10A, at least once a week, as an involuntary episode of lost or altered consciousness resulting in significantly disrupted awareness or concentration. You get potentially 15 points if you look at number B. At least once a month as an involuntary episode of loss or altered consciousness resulting in significantly disrupted awareness or concentration, there you get 16 points. And number C, if there is none of the above applying, you then get 0 points. Please continue watching. Thank you so much. So thank you so much for watching today's episode of our working, and I'm so excited. Thank you so much for you subscribing to this channel. If you are already subscribed, sharing, watching the video, sharing with family and friends, perhaps also sharing with strangers, and clicking like, clicking notification bell, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. And comment below. Comments are really important, and it is fundamental that I get positive feedback, at least constructive feedback, and we always argued for respect for self, respect for others, and respect for your communities, respect for your family. If we did respect one another, we wouldn't be fighting one another. We would be more organized, we would be more peaceful, and the more peaceful we are, the happier we become. And on the one and on the other, we have to face our demons if we are poor, and work as hard as we like to do to try our best to get out of poverty, because without working as hard as possible, we may remain in poverty perpetually. And that is not a good commentary, it's not a good survey on our life in a country like Britain, where the wealth actually the country flows with wealth and honey, if you like, is with the result that it's a shameful commentary to say poor people are actually in Britain, and this is actually an anomaly. It's a very awkward, it's a very precarious state of affairs, because the British people don't believe in poverty, and rightly so, because if you're from Britain and you tell the world you are a poor person, it's so embarrassing. and this is an embarrassment which should be shared with the UK government, and the Prime Minister, the ministers, and the King of England should be ashamed of himself. The royal family should be very shameful. The British people should be very shameful. But shame is not enough. What we need to do